Hey everyone, I just saw Ant-Man and the Wasp, and here are my initial thoughts. So, straight off the bat, that film was incredibly hilarious and entertaining throughout. Very few of the jokes didn't hit the mark, like I was laughing and giggling throughout, and even the ones which didn't hit the mark were passable at worst, which is good. And what helps the film is just how simple the plot was, in the same way that in Thor Ragnarok, the plot's very simple and it's not really the focus of the film that about the end of Ragnarok and the world ending of Asgard. The focus of the film is very much the characters, how they bounce off each other and the comedic elements. Exact same play with Ant-Man and the Wasp. The plot isn't heavy, so it doesn't get in the way of letting scenes and comedic set pieces stretch out and take their time, getting the timings and the beats right and giving the characters a chance to continuously bounce off each other and get some amazing sort of comedic lines in there. Louise and the other two wombats very much earn their return in this film, delivering some of the best punchlines in the entire movie. Like an example of the film just taking its time to do a comedic set piece well is in one of the trailers we see a bit where Scott shrunk down to like the size of a small child and he has to sneak through a school. And when I saw that trailer, I thought this would be very much the flattest part of the film, the part that backfired and didn't work. If any part of the film was going to do that, I thought it was going to be that. And then we see the entire, seeing the entire premise of that scene and then the entire scene and then how the scene ends. I was laughing throughout. Like, it's much longer in the film, obviously, than what we see in the trailer, and it takes its time and it continuously has different comedy points and, gets the timing completely right, and it works. And that's a good example of that scene in the film as a whole. Hannah John Kamen plays a very sympathetic villain. I say villain because she's not very villainous in any sense of the way. The filmmakers actually described her as only being antagonistic because her goals were survival and direct contradiction to what the protagonists are trying to achieve. If the protagonists weren't trying to rescue Janet, there'd be no conflict and the ghost wouldn't be doing anything wrong. Like, she has some sort of morality slips and, her biggest flaw is that she doesn't care about collateral damage. But it's very well established in her introduction how much pain she's in and how long she's been in this pain for. And, I think realistically, anyone who's in that much trauma and in physical pain for that long isn't going to be thinking entirely straight when the promise of peace is actually there in front of you. Honestly, the closest thing this film has to a villain is Sonny Birch, who is a secondary, mostly comedic antagonist. And the bond between Lang and Cassie, which is very much the centre of Lang's character motivation, is extremely potent and extremely well portrayed in this film. Like, the very first scene we see of Lang is there to establish his strong connection with Cassie, and that gets paid off later in the film when, during a moment of character dilemma, he spends some time with Cassie just to talk, and that helps to help him decide his next actions. And Abby Ryder Fortune proves herself to be a very capable child actress. She nails both her verbal delivery and her physical portrayal with her facial expressions. She nails it completely, which is fantastic. Both Lily and Douglas's characters in the film play important roles, but there's a very smaller character arc than there was in the first film for either of them. Like, the characters are strongly focused on rescuing Janet Van Dyne from quantum reality, and both actors play off very well off Paul Rudd's character. But other than the obstacles that are brought to them in the form of their adversaries and Lang's mistakes, there's very little sort of character points for them. Like, they face very little personal sort of issues or dilemmas, so there's not much in terms of character building for either of them. So it is nice that the film does, again, bring up Pym's past, often questionable morality when dealing with people who are close to him and people he works with. I think it's unfortunate that despite the fact that the Wasp is a title character and how in the lead up to this film, the directors and the filmmakers are saying it's very much a joint protagonist film between Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's both the films equally. It did very much feel like it was just, again, Scott Lang's Ant-Man's film primarily before anyone else's. I'd say the weakest part of the film was most of the action scenes. I mean, they were better, I feel, than the action scenes in Ant-Man. I guess, in a sense, it's kind of unavoidable, because most of the action styles we see in the other Avengers films is very competitive, whilst with Ant-Man, and indeed the Wasp, their fight styles are kind of less competitive and more pragmatic use of gadgets. It's not a bad thing, it just means that the action scenes don't really give you that sense of excitement or wow factor that the other ones do. That being said, the car chase scene was actually very, very entertaining and very well done. Though most of the best bits of the car chase were in the trailer. Also, the cold opening of the film was very weird because it very much played out like one of the recaps you get on TV when it's like, last time on Ant-Man, and it shows you plot relevant points from the last Ant-Man film, almost as a montage. Lawrence Fishburne's Bill Foster character was a bit underused. Like, he was only really there to deliver both exposition and sort of a morality center for the Ghost. However, that being said, even as a character underused, he still got his character moments to shine, like especially his last scene at the end where he refuses adamantly to abandon the Ghost on her own and will go with her to sort of look after her. I think that was very, very well done. And the other supporting characters were excellent. Bobby Cannavale as Paxton had a smaller role than he did in the first film. The scenes where he did appear in this film did build on to where we left him off in the last film, where now that he's not having to consider Scott Lang this antagonistic character, he's able to sort of be very more friendly, more caring towards him, and that shows. And Randall Park as Jimmy Woo was just amazing, and he wasn't in it much, but when he was in it, his comedic sort of delivery was spot on, and it just paid off so well. And okay, oh boy, the post-credit scene. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So you know that gut punch trauma we all felt during the dusting scene in Infinity War? I was not emotionally prepared to feel it all over again the exact same way in that post-credit scene. I was not prepared in the slightest way. Like, it was just delivered so darkly. Even in the last after-credit scene right at the end, which I expected would be just your generic giant ant gag scene, the camera starts panning away from a TV screen which has emergency broadcast on it, and through the entire scene you can just hear this low tone from the TV just playing, and even that was just like really freaky, even though the scene then went on to the ant playing the drums. That's a funny scene, but I was still traumatized because you can hear, I think it's just amazing world building that it helps build upon. Because we feel like half of all life is now being destroyed. That's going to have a lot of impact on the world. And I just like how this last scene, which is meant to be an uplifting gag, is still world building the repercussions of Thanos' snap. So yeah, oh boy, I'm still reeling. I think I still enjoyed the film, but now I'm just obsessing over the last scene and how traumatic that was. So yeah, overall, it was a very entertaining, very funny superhero film. I loved the first Ant-Man film, and I think this one did a spectacular job of following from that, and I think I actually prefer this one to the first film. I think this is definitely a better film than the first Ant-Man film. But yeah, now we've got Captain Marvel to look forward to, so yeah. See you guys next time.